guys, I'm Amy.
And I'm Beck. If you didn't already know, we're sisters and we talk about holistic health, beauty and lifestyle on this channel and on our blog cultivatebeauty.com.au. So we get a lot of questions about what is the paleo diet on our channel, given that we've made a few videos about how we eat, which is a paleo, what we call paleo based, which we'll get into a little bit later. It's not really what you call strict paleo. We'd probably call it like a real food diet.
Yeah, real food, whole foods.
Yeah. So really a strict paleo diet is focusing on the foods that our body has evolved to eat. And it's really like kind of emulating a more hunter-gatherer type lifestyle diet.
So agriculture and farming only came in about 10,000 years ago. So before that we weren't relying on like wheat crop every year that we cultivated. So you were getting more things like searching for things like tubers and,
foraging, lean game meats. And sometimes it's a little intimidating, I think, because people say it's like this caveman diet and it's like you're out catching food or something. It's really not that...
We're not walking around in loincloths or anything like that. We're not trying to like be a caveman. We get a lot of comments like that too, like, why are you eating mustard? That's not what a caveman... Yeah, it's like...
It's a little bit like beyond the point, I guess.
Yeah.
The point of the diet is you're trying to eat real food, which our body is adapted to eat. Main foods that we avoid on a paleo diet are dairy. We'll run through them first and then we'll talk about why.
Yeah.
So there's dairy, sugar and processed food, grains and legumes. They're the main ones, I think.
Yeah.
So the problems with dairy that a lot of people run into is intolerances of either lactose or casein in dairy products.
Or just other proteins in them. In milk. More specifically things like, well, for lactose it's the milk.
Yeah.
But you might be able to tolerate other types of dairy.
Or fermented dairy products. Yeah, so the next piece is obviously sugar.
But I think that you have to kind of clarify there as well with sugar. People get freaked out when you say sugar, but what we mean by that is like refined sugar. So the sugar that you'll find, white sugar in cakes and stuff like that. So you're obviously avoiding that, but not necessarily all fruit.
Or not natural sugars and things. There's grain, so we avoid not just wheat, but other grains like rice, corn. And then you have all the pseudo grains, but we won't go into detail with that. But the main reason being phytates in grains, which inhibit nutrient absorption in your body. Also, they're not really good sources of nutrition, given that they do bind minerals, and even if there is a lot of, people say there's goodness in whole grains, well, how much of it can you even absorb? The other one is legumes.
Yep, so legumes have things like, I think it's lectins, and they also have phytates.
Yeah, and that includes your lentils, beans and soy products.
Especially soy products as well, because they contain like fake estrogens, so phytoestrogens, which can kind of mess with your own hormones.
Also on a strict paleo diet, people avoid coffee and alcohol, and I can't think of any other main...
We already said processed foods, didn't we?
Yeah.
So obviously like all soft drinks and things like that are out.
Foods to include on a paleo diet are ethically sourced meats. So this is really important to bear in mind that it's about the quality of meat, it's not about quantity. Paleo is not necessarily a bacon diet, although a lot of people unfortunately jump onto the bandwagon and get really excited, I think, about eating lots of steak and lots of bacon, and that's not necessarily what a paleo diet is about at all, really. Yeah,
you're trying to as well, because it is about the ethical side as well, for us at least, because we're making it a holistic lifestyle. It's not just about a diet, it's not just about losing weight or something like that. It's about being healthy, choosing more sustainable options, so like more local, locally raised animals. So if you can, you're trying to afford like organic, free range.
Because what the animal, how it's raised and what it eats affects the quality and how it impacts the health of your body as well. So that's a big part of paleo.
Yeah, so like what the animal ate,
you are what you ate.
Yeah.
The other piece in that is organ meats, in particular liver is a big part of paleo lifestyle. These days it's kind of not that popular to eat anything but the muscle meats, which is not how we have evolved eating meat. Often, like in history, the organ meats were prized as the most nutrient dense and healthy part of the animal. So
it's kind of a part that you can't ignore in paleo, and it really is easy to just be like, oh, I'm just going to eat steak and vegetables, but the liver is really an important part to include, and trying to find ways that you can make that more palatable.
Yeah.
The other major thing, of course, is vegetables and fruit.
Nuts and seeds, also fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir. They're really healthy for your gut. Seafood, obviously wild caught is best. Eggs and healthy fats. I think you wanted to say some stuff about eggs too.
Yeah, the thing about eggs, so the best kind of eggs that you want to buy is, I think, pastured, when they're actually eating their natural diet as well. So they're eating bugs and not, I don't know what they're feeding them normally, soy pellets probably, which is not the greatest thing. But yeah, when you're trying to source eggs, so that, the best is pastured, but if you can't get that, and if you're going to just a normal supermarket, you want to be looking at the free-range eggs, but then also at how many hectares...
Hens per
hectare. So I think the best number that I can find is about 1 per 6 square meters, which is a pretty good amount of space for a chicken to roam. But a lot of them, you'll find that they've got like 2 hens per square hectare. Per square meter. And,
which is still quite cramped.
And, I don't think it's good enough. So we've gone over some of the paleo principles and what you avoid and what you include. So the next thing that we want to talk about is how you can make paleo fit you as an individual and how you can make it fit your lifestyle. So one thing that you can start doing is kind of playing around with the macros. So see if you prefer like a more higher carb, so including more things like sweet potato, yucca I think is a good one. What else is
plantain,
there?
More fruit as well.
Yeah, more fruit. And then you could try a lower carb approach, so increasing your fats, eating a bit less fruit, eating a little less starch.
Or timing your starch. Some people like to time it like after big workouts, like
it can really help to jack up your carbs before a workout.
After as well.
Yeah, and after. The other thing you could do is play around with the protein, so increasing it a bit, decreasing it a bit.
So paleo is definitely not set in stone. Like a lot of people look at it as either like a really high protein diet, which is not true. It could be if you want it to be, but that's kind of up to you. Or people think of it as low carb, or kind of think that it's a ketogenic diet, which
it can be if you want it to be.
If you want it to be, and a lot of people do paleo in that way. But for someone like for me, I need a little bit more carbohydrate than that, so I kind of play with that.
Yeah. So make it fit you. I mean, everyone's an individual. Your body is different. Even that, it's kind of a paleo principle as well. I mean, you've adapted in some certain area of the world. If you're from a European side, you might be able to tolerate more dairy if
Yeah, and I mean, what suits you in one time of your life as well will be different. Like if you up your activity level, you might want to have more carbs or less carbs, or if you're trying to lose weight, it might be a different approach. So, so the next thing we want to talk about quickly was how we interpret paleo and why we call our diet paleo-based or a real food diet as opposed to like strict paleo. So for us, paleo is, I guess, heavily centered on ethical meats, getting more organ meats into our diet, broths and things like that, fermented foods. We are not 100% dairy free. We do eat cheese. We try and drink organic. We don't really drink milk.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't
freak out if there's some milk in something that I eat. Also,
I'll eat some cream sometimes.
Yeah, and we avoid gluten-containing grains. We just, based on the information out there, do not think it's worthwhile eating those kind of foods. And we eat lentils, not at home, but if we're out, we're not going to freak out if there's beans at a Mexican place or something.
It's not going to kill you.
Also, we drink a bit of coffee.
And I drink alcohol too.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I drink alcohol. I usually keep it to wine, or even vodka is a pretty clean kind of alcohol.
I think that's part of it, making it a lifestyle, because what it comes down to is you have to be able to sustain it, and we agree with and understand the paleo principles, but we make it fit our life. We're not drinking alcohol, all the time every day, and having lots and lots of coffee or anything, but we do have those things, and we enjoy them. And part of it is just social interaction as well.
And not getting so stressed out about your food. Okay, so before we wrap up this video, just wanted to give you a few of our favourite paleo resources. So 2 books that we've really enjoyed were Kresser, so Your Personal Paleo Code. So it gives you a pretty good guideline as to how you can begin, how you can start cutting things out and seeing how your body reacts to them. So that's a good one to check out.
He also talks a bit about stress and overall lifestyle stuff
making
as
it a
well.
whole lifestyle. That's the other thing, because paleo is not just, I think, about food. It's about so much more than that. It's about, what you're putting on your skin, everything. But the other one that we really enjoy is the Primal Blueprint. So that's Mark Sisson.
Podcasts are really good as well. There's heaps of really good paleo-based podcasts out there. So one of our favourites is Abel James, the Fat Burning Man.
So that's a really great one to check out. He's so happy all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chris Kresser, the book that we just mentioned, he also has a podcast called Revolution Health Radio.
Yeah. That's a little bit more scientific.
It is, but I like to geek out on that podcast. And he has a really balanced opinion. He's not that all or nothing kind of mindset. He's very balanced in his opinions, and I think he's a good source of reliable information.
Yeah, sometimes you hear some people and they just want to...
They're too extreme, and then they make you a little bit scared to eat.
Make the whole thing stressful. It's just not worth it. And then the last one was Bulletproof Radio, so that's Dave Asprey, if you haven't heard of him before. So he's
the guy with the Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a really good podcast. Yeah. So we'll see you in the next video. If you like this one, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions about paleo, leave it in the comments. We'll get back to you on that if we can answer it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.